Well, I honestly didn't think I'd be making this video, but here we are. How's it going, everyone? Casualers here with a topic that I think you're gonna like. If you've been on social media recently, you've probably seen rumors circulating about the fabled Xenoblade Chronicles free. With Xenoblade Chronicles 2 releasing in late 2017, it's about time that we find out about the next new entry in the series. I know a lot of people were anticipating a reveal at E3, but I was honestly skeptical of that possibility. All the other news that was rumored or leaked made it seem like Xenoblade Chronicles free would be best saved for another time. That led me to believe that a direct this September would be an excellent place to reveal it, alongside other news like the final Smash Bros. Character. Yet, here we are in August, and rumors are rampant. Although these are merely rumors, I am going to be talking about them in depth, so if you'd like to remain potentially spoiler-free, I'd advise clicking off now. For those sticking around, here's the gist of the situation. Everything stems from an interview conducted by YouTuber Din's Meteorite with Melia's voice actress, Jenna Coleman, back in June for an event called GalaxyCon. I'll leave a link to the full video in the description, as it's honestly just cool hearing her talk about her involvement with Xenoblade, but there's one particular tidbit of importance, and it's what she says about Xenoblade Chronicles free. Here's the clip because I think hearing her tone and inflection will help you to draw your own conclusions.
And I think they're going to do another.
I see.
Don't know. But yeah, I think they're going to do another. Don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
I originally had no intentions of making this video based on the interview alone, since we kind of expected a Xenoblade Chronicles free was coming, given Monolith Soft's stance on the Xenoblade brand, and that Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition was not developed by the primary team. Takahashi has stated in interviews that there are 3 different teams, one that worked on DE, another that is working on a new title, and a final team that moved between the 2 projects. Now, I'm not entirely sure if there's confirmation on whether or not that new project is Breath of the Wild 2, but take it how you will. All in all, I would say expecting Xenoblade Chronicles free was a pretty sensible conclusion. There was nothing that crazy. That is, until I read the rumored contents of Xenoblade Chronicles free. Journalist Imran Khan wrote an article that asserts that not only are the claims of a developing Xenoblade Chronicles free real, but it serves as, and I quote, the ending of the trilogy. First off, I find this incredibly fascinating considering the existence of Xenoblade Chronicles X, so I guess true to Black Tar, they are truly stuck on a whole different planet. In all seriousness, this would likely be in referral to the numbered, story-driven titles, and potentially those dealing with Klaus. Furthermore, the article claims that the game occurs in the far-flung future with a few returning characters who have long outlived their human counterparts from both Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. This is essentially why Jenna Coleman would know about such a game, considering High-Entians like Melia can live for hundreds of years, and thus would likely have her returning to do voice work. If you want more proof, Melia is 88 during the story of base Xenoblade Chronicles without looking any older than Shulk, and Saurian is 320. So with all of this in consideration, is this idea for a plot technically feasible? Well, yes, actually. Back when Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition had released alongside Future Connected, Takahashi had this to say about the epilogue chapter. The events that take place and the words spoken by the characters in Future Connected are linked to the future of Xenoblade Chronicles itself. The thing is that Future Connected supposedly didn't give us much to go off of. The primary takeaway was that the Fog King strongly resembled Xenoblade Chronicles 2's Infernal Goldo, from the physical form to the way it attacked. I've also heard it described as a Gnosis, but that's jumping into Xenosaga territory, which is a whole can of worms in its own that I haven't played. But if we're working strictly with Xenoblade, there's nothing overtly obvious to ascertain from the expansion really beyond that. The argument could be made that Future Connected is inherently tied to this rumored Xenoblade free narrative because Melia and Tyrea, characters that would certainly live long enough to see such a future, were the central focus. But I could see the counter-argument that such a conclusion is a stretch. This quiet moment between Melia and Shulk before their duel with the Fog King has been circulating, and if Xenoblade Chronicles free does line up with this rumor, it could point to certain plot threads like a dystopian future infected by the plague that is beast similar to the Fog King.
Does it bother you? The rift, I mean.
I have an ill premonition.
Oh?
Disaster. Complete ruin. Inescapably looming over our future. I know not why, but that is the vague dread that I feel when I consider the rift.
Although I wasn't too keen on Future Connected upon my first playthrough, this rumor admittedly has me curious to rewatch Future Connected's cutscenes to try and pick up on more. With all of this context provided, you're probably wondering what I think of the release window and narrative rumors. I would say that I 100% believe Xenoblade Chronicles 3 will be released next year. This is something I felt confident in for a while, and Monolith Soft's business desires, as well as the team divisions, make sense for such a game to release. Although I doubted its reveal at E3, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if a Direct in September was where we first set our eyes on it. Nintendo typically loves to hold a general direct during that month, and Definitive Edition was first shown off in September 2019, so hey, it's a possibility. As for the narrative rumors, I'm not entirely sure. But is it bad to say I think it's happening? Based on the interview alone, I would have said no. It is slightly suspicious that Jenna Coleman seems so unsure if she could talk about a rumored game, but the language she uses didn't feel entirely conclusive to me. Yet this rumor does build off of a potential idea people had based on what Future Connected illustrated of a merged Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 universe, something Xenoblade Chronicles 2 originally presented. I think a lot of people expected future Xenoblade titles to be connected to Klaus in some form or fashion, so we'll see if that eventually unfolds. If there's anything I can say about Takahashi, it's that he's persistent and usually accomplishes what he sets out to do. He mentioned wanting to make another story-driven Xenoblade title after X had released. He did it. He said he felt a sense of pity for Melia and wanted to have players finally explore the Bionis' shoulder. He made Future Connected. The thing is, Takahashi has been trying to tell the same 6-part story since Xenogears on the PS1, revealed in greater detail through a book called Perfect Works, which, from what I'm told, is the Xeno Bible. I'm not going to dive heavily into this whole topic since I haven't finished Xenogears, nor read anything beyond the basic descriptions of each part in Perfect Works, but it's an episodic story he attempted to tell the complete story of by means of Xenogears and Xenosaga as well, and he's also still trying to retell it fully with Xenoblade. What I'm saying is, the man is stubborn. Given his history, I have every reason to believe that his grandiose statement about the significance of Future Connected for the series' future wasn't a throwaway line. Really, the strangest part of this article is calling it the end of the trilogy, and one that makes me even more curious about the future of Xenoblade Chronicles beyond this supposed narrative. But okay, let's imagine a game where characters like Melia and others outlive all their human companions. Shulk, Fiora, Dunban, Reyn, and Sharla. Dead! Rex and Morag? Also dead. In terms of survivors, you're left with Melia, maybe Ricky, Juju because he's immortal, Poppy, which sounds horribly sad, Pyra and Mithra, which might be the most depressing since so much of their arc is about Rex giving them the strength to move on and he's super dead. Can't forget about Nia, maybe Tora, and also maybe Zeke since he's a Blade Eater, and most of the Blades, but they might have completely new drivers, and seeing Pandoria with someone that might not be Zeke just feels wrong? Hey everyone, this is Editor Mode K Jewelers here to interrupt with a pretty crazy discovery I made yesterday. So the quote I pulled about Future Connected significance earlier comes from page 3 of the art book that came with Definitive Edition Special Edition. Try saying that 3 times fast. Most people reference the quote I read beforehand, but nobody talks about the sentences right before it. And seeing this now actually has me believe in the rumors even more. Here's what it says on Future Connected. Why Melia and not Fiora, Reyn, Dunban, Sharla, or Ricky, you might ask? Well, that's because this scenario isn't simply a new story to be told, but a waystone of sorts, pointing toward the future. What if Future Connected is not just an epilogue to Xenoblade Chronicles, but a prologue to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, a game where most of the cast is gone due to the passage of time? With that perspective, Future Connected is practically preparing the player to put themselves in the shoes of Melia and be without the other party members they've grown to love. I don't know Khan's sources for this info, but this premise aligns so nicely with small tidbits like this that I feel like you'd have to be pretty entrenched in Xenoblade to fabricate this, unless it's highly coincidental. Anyways, I thought this was absolutely fascinating and has slightly altered my opinions on the rumor, so I wanted to put this on the table for you guys. Back to the video. I also have one large issue with this story direction if it does happen to be real, and that is what it retroactively does to Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2. I've gone on record to say that the birth of a universe from Xenoblade Chronicles 2's Chapter 10 is what I recognize as the game's greatest cutscene, and the initial tease in Chapter 7 is the beginning of the series' best twist. The fact that this rumored game info is being leaked now means likely correlates to the fact that it's front and center in the game's promotion, which also means that new players will likely be exposed early on to Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2's connection, something I've devoted so much time and effort to hide from friends diving into the series. I know plenty of people have played Xenoblade Chronicles 2 before 1 and had a great experience. But I've always been an advocate for playing 1 before 2 so you can get the most out of that experience. An example of this for me was the Nier titles. I won't dive into specific spoilers, but most people will say you can play Automata before Replicant without any issues. I agree, as I still greatly enjoyed Automata as a starting point. However, I fully believe that my experience with Automata could have been even greater had I played Replicant first due to the way that these titles are linked. I truly value the experience I had with Automata, but I also feel a tad disappointed that I potentially missed out on an even greater experience, if that makes sense. Back on the subject of Xenoblade's connection, this potential revelation through Xenoblade Chronicles 3's promotion wouldn't affect me personally, as I'm familiar with the series, but I do fear a bit for new players that might not have the same heart-pounding reaction that a lot of us did with Xenoblade 2's reveal. I don't want to make this video too long at this point, but essentially the TLDR is that, yes, I believe Xenoblade Chronicles 3 will be released next year. I'm skeptical of the rumors surrounding the game's premise. However, I am leaning towards believing in them. If it does happen to be real, I'll truthfully be slightly sad that this huge reveal was spoiled for us prior to the trailer. Nevertheless, it would still be an exciting prospect. But I am extremely curious to hear what you guys think of these rumors, so I'd love to read your thoughts if you wanted to leave them down in the comments. I will say that you should not take my opinion as fact, and I encourage that you come to your own conclusions on this matter. But one thing's for certain, and it's that we're likely heading into Xenoblade hype season here, which means I'm going to be making a lot of Xenoblade free content and news updates in conjunction with the videos I'm already making. So if you'd like to be a part of that journey, I'd recommend subscribing to the channel so you're notified whenever those happen. Anyways, that's all I have for now, so thank you guys as always for your continued support, and until next time.